Hey everyone, we have a pretty crazy one today. Storm trophying, which is very rare. So, gonna look at the draft first. Starting off, look, hey, it's Black Lotus. You gotta grab Black Lotus. So, what else is in this pack? There's Preordain, Putrid Imp, which probably come around. Phantasmal Image is good. The Fallen Shinobi. But it's just like, Black Lotus goes in pretty much any deck. So, gonna grab it, of course. And you'll see later the big important thing with Storm. Okay, I'll talk in a second. So here I have an option. There's Upheaval, which I have a Black Lotus that goes with that. There's Recurring Nightmare, which is good. Ponder, 2 Signets. If I'm going to play expensive things and depend on the Lotus, I need plans in case I don't draw the Lotus. So I actually don't know what I grab here. I think it's the Ponder, because I'm like, oh, well, I have this Black Lotus. I want to find it. Upheaval is just a catch-all. So here I see Dark Ritual, and it's between that and Worn Power Stone. Birgi is also a good Storm pick. There's Venser, there's Gonti, some land, but I go Dark Ritual because once again, if I don't draw the Lotus, but if I'm playing expensive things, hoping that I get the Lotus, I need some things that are like a Lotus, like Dark Ritual. So now I'm like, ooh, I definitely have a Storm start, and the reason Black Lotus is so important with the Storm. It's Black Lotus and Yawgmoth's Will. That's really how to make Storm work in Vintage Cube. I've been turned one with Storm because of that. They went like Land, Black Lotus, Cabal Ritual, Dark Ritual, Demonic Tutor, like Yawgmoth's Will, play it all again, but this time grab a Tendrils of Agony with the Demonic Tutor and then kill you. And it's really it's the Black Lotus Yawgmoth's Will or Black Lotus Lion's Eye Diamond with Yawgmoth's Will, which really makes it kick off. Way more important than Past in Flames. So I'm like, okay, I'm playing blue-black Storm right now. I'm looking at all this. There's Dark Whispers, great way to draw some cards. There's Narset, which if I'm going to be doing draw 7s, it makes it a one-sided draw 7. Otherwise, maybe Cryptic. And as far as for other decks, there's Progenitus for like the Natural Order deck. There's Tree Speaker, which is a great green card. Jite, which is awesome as well. There is a thing of like Golos, but yeah, I just grabbed the Narset because I can first turn it with the Black Lotus. It can help me find the Black Lotus. And if I'm going to be doing draw 7s, it will make it a one-sided draw 7, and you can really win the game when you are drawing 7 and your opponent is not allowed to. So here we go. Here there's Duress, which sort of like protects me on my way, but it's just Entomb, especially if I can a backdoor Reanimator combo, then like Black Lotus and Entomb is a first turn Reanimate usually. But then also if I have Yawgmoth's Will, Entomb is just a tutor. I just find whatever I want, throw it in my graveyard, Yawgmoth's Will, and then hey, I can play it from my graveyard. I think Entomb is so powerful in so many situations. So I'm like, okay, I'm blue-black now. When I'm looking for, maybe Brain Freeze, Tendrils, some draw 7s if possible. More mana, so more rituals and potentially Lion's Eye Diamond if I can grab it. I'm to the point now where I'm like, okay, well, I have a little bit of blue and a little bit of black. I could go for the High Tide Storm variant if I see it. So I'm like, okay, maybe also keep a lookout for that if I can. Here, it's just turnabout. Otherwise, there's like Metalworker if I want to try to go like Artifact Value, Ashen Rider if I want to try to backdoor Reanimate. And Opposition Agent isn't bad. Also Pyroclasm for protection, but I don't necessarily know that I'm going red yet. Usually Storm is red, blue, black, but I don't know it. So here, looking, there's Bazaar if I want to go Reanimate, Goblin Dark Dwellers, meh. Walking Ballista, and then there's Burst Lightning in case I get the 1,000-Year Storm variant. You need a burn spell to kick it off. So having some burn and also burn is protection early game. So I think I'm going to go Burst Lightning. Or do I go Walking Ballista? Do I go Walking Ballista? Do I go Bazaar? I think, okay, so since I have the Entomb, I go Bazaar in case I need to do, in case Storm doesn't work out, in case I don't grab any of the main cards. I do have, like, I could Black Lotus, Bazaar, and then use the Black Lotus to, cast my Reanimate spell. So here, it's like Tendrils, Seething Song. Tendrils, Seething Song. I'm only going to get one card from this pack. It's not going to be any of the good ones. It's probably going to be like, Vorian. So I grab the Tendrils to make sure I have something that is storm-based. I already have the Black Lotus and a Dark Ritual. If I can get the Yawgmoth's Will, then I have the potential to be first turn storming. Here, it's tempting because Putrid Imp is a good reanimate enabler, but Mana Flare allows me to do storm things. So that's what my decision is between. I don't know how heavy... so I don't know if I'm even going into red right now, so I pass up the Mana Flare. Now I'm just grabbing artifacts. And right now right now in my mind I am blue, black, storm. Spoiler alert, that changes. So I'm just trying to grab value. I might also be reanimate. I don't know. It depends on what the rest of the draft tells me. I'm really looking for some draw 7s at this point. Really looking for any sort of reanimate payoff as far as Big Fatty and reanimate spells. I need 2 parts of the equation for that. So, 1 second as I just speed this up. Yeah, I can go 1.5 for this, sure. Birgi is amazing in the Storm deck. I've been really impressed with her. Either side, really. Birgi's first side allows you to basically have 1,000,000 rituals, and Birgi's second side allows you to kind of use your entire deck. Like, especially if you have rituals and things, you can really just, like, exile everything. If you have a draw 7, you exile 14 more cards. Then if you have the Thassa's Oracle, it's very easy to win that way. Grabbing Pyroclasm as protection, Burst Lightning in case I have the 1,000-Year Storm. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I'm red. Maybe I'm the full Grixis. I don't know. The Gruul Signet technically gives me red if I need it. Birgi is amazing. My blue is good support, but not, like, Turnabout's only amazing if I can get a Mana Flare or a High Tide. Or something similar to that. So here, right off the bat, there's Mox Diamond, which is great. There's Shelldock, which lets me cast a free spell, which would be very powerful if I can do a draw 7. So I go with Shelldock for the free spell potential. Because, once again, I kind of think that, like, I have some Storm cards. I don't have a lot of Storm cards. In my mind, I'm more of a Reanimate deck right now. So here, as far as the Reanimate, there's Lily. But, of course, it's Soul Ring. Soul Ring is kind of like an artifact ritual, you know? Even the turn you play it, it is mana positive, not negative. So it can help you generate Storm. It's good. And turn 2, it lets you drop a 4-drop. So here I'm like, in my mind, it's between Poetic Ritual, Ancient Tomb, and Makeshift Mannequin. Makeshift Mannequin, if I'm doing Reanimate things, Poetic Ritual is great for Storm. And then Ancient Tomb, also good, because if you have, like, Frantic Search or whatever, Ancient Tomb puts you up a mana, allows you to give... Yeah, so I just go the Ritual. I kind of want... I haven't really done a good Storm deck this round of Vintage, so I'm like, hey, let's do it. Like, let's do it. There's nothing for me here. The only thing really for me here is Iona, if I want to do the Reanimate things, which now I'm like, ooh, I'm getting halfway through. I don't have a Reanimate spell. I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't grab that Makeshift Mannequin. There's also Show and Tell if I want to, like, you know... Show and Tell is kind of the same idea as the Reanimate deck. So, yeah. So I guess I do grab Iona because I'm like, okay, if I have a Reanimate plan, Iona is one of the best Reanimators, and I have Entomb. Here it's like, oh, geez, there's High Tide, Memory Jar, Shieldred, and Cabal Ritual, as well as a Black Leaf Cliffs. I need all of these cards. In my mind right now, I've been less... I haven't been liking Shieldred this whole round of Cube. Usually she is a great reanimate target because you reanimate her, it gives you some protection, your opponent has to sacrifice something, and then it's a free second reanimate through her passive abilities. But she's been unimpressive lately to me, so I've been really down on her. I think I just grabbed the Cabal Ritual because I'm like, I need more rituals. The Memory Jar, oh yeah, I guess I'm like, I have no big draw 7s. I need a draw 7. Yeah, so I go Memory Jar. That makes sense. Yeah, okay, I do agree with myself. Oh, geez. Ooh, boy. Yeah, because right now I have a big threat of fizzling out. If I have a draw 7, I have sort of, and the Cabal Ritual, well, will probably come back around, especially since I'm grabbing all the Storm cards. So like, I don't think anyone else is going Cabal Ritual. The red rituals have usage even outside of Storm. It's very common to play like Paretic or Desperate Ritual in a Kiki Jiki deck so that you can play mainly blue, a little bit of red, but then still have the ritual to get your red if you need it. Here, Animate Dead is my first reanimate card. I'm going to grab it. Here, there's 1,000 Year Storm, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not reanimate. Okay, maybe the Storm deck is still alive. I see. So here, there's Wishclaw Talisman. Oh, great, but it's Yogg-Will. Now I have Yogg-Will and Black Lotus, and so I'm like, okay, I'm setting myself up. I'm still straddling 2 decks right now. I'm still like, I could be Storm or I could be Reanimate. What am I? Faithless Looting works for both decks. So of course I go Faithless Looting. It's great. It's great for Storm. Great for Reanimate. You know, I now have multiple ways to animate dead on turn 2. I can animate. Technically, I can reanimate on turn 1 with a Black Lotus and Entomb or a Faithless Looting. Here, not really anything I'm gonna keep. I think I go with the Daredevil just in case. I've never seen Agadeem's Awakening cast in Cube. Not once. I grab it. I don't have any creatures that. So here's Makeshift Mannequin. Then the Show and Tell, and then here I'm like, oh, I need the land. But I need the ritual, but I need the land, but I need the ritual. I think I grabbed the ritual. Yeah. I grabbed the ritual. I am a crazy. My mana base. So now I'm like 3 colors, no mana fixing. This is crazy, William. What are you doing? What are you thinking? Right out of the gate, lots of things. There's Ulamog, which I have Show and Tell for, but no other real way to get it out. I don't have Shallow Grave or whatever yet. There is Corpse Dance, so I'm like, ooh, maybe I can get it back around. Force Negation, which is protection, but I don't have many blue cards. Empty the Warren, and then Through the Breach and Steam Vent. So I'm like, oh, what do I want? There's many paths I can go. I go Ulamog because I already have the Makeshift Mannequin, and I have the Entomb Makeshift Mannequin as a, yeah, that makes sense. So here, oh, so many things once again for me. There's Bolas' Citadel, which is very good in Storm. There's the Commit to Memory, which is control, and it's a draw 6. There's the Shallow Grave, which works with the Ulamog that I just drew. There's the Frantic Search, which is a free spell. There's 2 different lands that are on color, both the Fumarole and the Watery Grave. So I'm like, whoa, what do I get here? Right now I'm thinking like, yeah, see, I'm clicking the cards that I was like, oh, deciding between, oh, what do I do? Frantic Search. Frantic Search enables both the Reanimate plan and so this is where I decide, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm not blue. I don't have that many blue cards. I have no mana fixing. Maybe I need to not be blue. And the Frantic Search really made me realize that. And I go, okay, Citadel is more of a Storm card for me. Even though technically I don't have a way to manipulate the top of my library right now. I don't have a Sensei's top. So I don't know how powerful actually Bolas' Citadel will be for me. Here, it's Necromancy. Once again, for the Iona, I can shut people out of games. Great. With this, it's between the Dark Petition, which will, honestly, they come super late. And the, hey, what are you doing? We're running late. Let me talk about this. Dark Petition can come super late. There's the Past in Flames, but like, you know, I have 1, 2, 3 rituals. So Past in Flames really won't be mana positive. It'll be hard for it to be mana positive. So basically, I'm like playing Past in Flames just to play, you know, maybe my Tendrils again from my graveyard. So, I mean, Past in Flames will be mana positive if I have Birgi in play, but otherwise, it'll be hard to get value out of it. So, the Lion's Eye Diamond with the Yawgmoth's Will, it just gives you so much value. So, I grab that. I have a double sort of on-color Signet. There is the Sling Gang, which Sling Gang works with Empty the Warrens because you can sack the Goblins. Here, ooh, this is another tough decision. Thoughtseize, which is one of the not only is it one of the ultimate control cards in that there are so many times I have mulliganed down to 6 or kept a weird hand in Vintage. Someone Thoughtseizes me, and it's just immediate game over. You know, there are decks that mulligan down to 4 cards so they can find their 2 lands Channel Emrakul. You Thoughtseize them, and it's game over. Thoughtseize is so powerful. And on top of that, if I'm playing Reanimate, I can Thoughtseize myself in a pinch to discard the creature I need to. It's so powerful. And there's the Taxing Pros. That's a free spell that also lets me know if the coast is clear, both for Reanimate and Storm. And there's Exhume, which is a great Reanimate spell, but I need to be able to go like Black Lotus, Lion's Eye Diamond, Wheel of Fortune, sack the Lion's Eye Diamond. Like, I need that ability, so I take the wheel. I get an on-color land. I need at least some fixing. And right now I have my playables are filled out. Here, it's definitely just Imperial Seal. The Regisaur is a Reanimate enabler, but Imperial Seal is an extra copy of whatever card that I need, whether it's Yawgmoth's Will, Wheel of Fortune, Black Lotus, the Tendrils of Agony, or even like Makeshift Mannequin. It's an extra copy of whatever you need in whatever situation. The tutors are so strong in Cube, so strong. I think people let Imperial Seal go way later than it should. Yes, it's card disadvantage and it's slow, but so I have a few decisions here. There's Corpse Dance, which I have the Entombed Corpse Dance for the Ulamog. There's the Through the Breach, which same thing for Ulamog. Doesn't really work with Iona, but neither does Corpse Dance. And then Empty the Warrens. And I go, you know what? It seems like now I have all the Storm cards. Let's do the Storm things. Here, there's Frantic Search, which I'm like, ooh, but I'm determined not to play blue, so I go Shallow Grave. So now I'm like, do I play blue? Do I not play blue? No, it's gonna really poop my buttons if I have to try to put in a third color. So I just grab the Sphinx for the Reanimate as a Reanimate target, and now I sort of have a dual deck. Bolus of Citadel, once again, because I don't have a way to manipulate the top of my library, really. So I get Passive Flames. At this point, yeah, hey, you grab it. I'm looking at Dark Petition and like, ooh, maybe, but yeah, you just grab, and then I have this Sling Gang, and then I even get the Exhume back. It seems like no one was drafting what I was drafting. So, both no one was drafting what I was drafting, and or you could phrase that as I found the pocket. Every draft there's a pocket of like, ooh, this is not being valued as highly as it should. You need to be a little bit flexible so you can find that pocket. And I think I found exactly what that pocket was between Storm and a light Reanimate. So here, taking out the Eureka, taking out the Niv, taking out the Bolus Citadel, because the Bolus Citadel will inevitably hit land clumps, and then I'll be stalled out. Also, if I have an 11 drop or like Memory Jar, there's too many things that can impede my process, like with the Bolus Citadel, as well as I sort of like not waste, but I burn up all my rituals or Black Lotus to get the Citadel out. So there's so many weird ways it can backfire on me. So I'm like, no, I don't want this. I don't want this. Otherwise, I think because I have Faithless Looting and Entomb, I'm just like, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need this Putrid Imp. Why do I need this Putrid Imp? I think that's what I go with. Yep, so I get rid of the Citadel. And I'm like, do I play? So now I'm like, oh, I also have the Bazaar in my sideboard, so maybe I can play that instead of this this Putrid Imp. And so that's where I go. I'm down 3 lands, so I gotta play 3 more lands. I go a little bit more red, because I need it. And that's what I decided. That's what I go with. My audio just did an interesting thing. So let me speed up this playback real fast. Playback. Faster. Playback. Ooh, look. Windows has disenabled. What? No, allow access. Hey, you give my access to my VLC. Okay. Or I just give access to my whole computer. Full screen. Here we go. So I don't have high hopes for this, just because Storm is like the ultimate glass cannon. Once again, I have seen Storm win in on turn 1 in Cube. For reals. If you have the Black Lotus Yawgmoth's Will, there's a lot you can do, especially, if it's like Black Lotus, Lion's Eye Diamond, If Wheel of Fortune, sack the Lion's Eye Diamond, get other things. Then there's so many ways. So here I'm like that first hand had a Sphinx, a Ritual, and a Black Lotus and land. I can't really do anything. This hand I have the Imperial Seal and I have the Necromancy Sphinx. So right now the plan is to Imperial Seal for Black Lotus, second turn, or for Dark Ritual, and then second turn I can Bazaar and then Necro. So I go Dark Ritual because it's slightly worse than Black Lotus, and so if this does not go well, I'd rather have a Black Lotus in my graveyard or in my library to draw than a Dark Ritual. So I'm kind of all in on the Sphinx. If this doesn't work, kind of dead. I could draw so okay, and now I'm like, ooh, I have the plan of just discarding my whole deck and then hopefully, Faithless Looting. But Ulamog is kind of a Non-mbo. It's a Non-mbo in multiple ways. So I 1 second. Yeah, so you'll see why Ulamog is a Non-mbo in other ways later. But yeah, I can't just do the I'm gonna discard all of my cards, and then eventually, if I keep drawing lands, I can play the lands and then Past in Flames, do a bunch of rituals, maybe even Yogg Will, and then play all my artifact mana. But I can't do that because Ulamog, I will keep drawing it and then keep having to. I just try to press the OK inside the video. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to do, but like I'm gonna keep hitting Ulamog, and in the meantime, my opponent, I keep the faith up because I'm like, okay, maybe I can do this, but it's not gonna happen. I went all in the Sphinx, and maybe your opponent doesn't have an answer for it, and it wins, and maybe they don't, and you lose, and so that's why Iona is sort of a better thing to go all in. I mean, if they were red green, it would have been great. But here we go. I'm just chilling. Also, I could draw a Yawgmoth's Will, and then, I would still be. Well, I'd have the Yawgmoth's Will. I could play the Mountain. I could play the Soul Ring. I could play the Cabal Ritual. Then I could play the Shallow Grave. I could at least kill the Liliana, maybe. But yeah, they're just reanimating things. They're getting a whole army. I'm kind of sitting here. Oh, look, Animate dead. So I get a second shot, but they, I just don't know how. Like they just have all the cards in the world. They can re-get back this Angrath's Rampage now. They get an Iona, so I'm like, okay, I'm dead. And now I have to worry about Iona. I'm like, oh boy. If Iona, if they drop that on black, I'm pretty much dead. There might be an artifact way I can play out Empty the Warrens, but doubtful. So, game 2. This hand, hey, look. I have a potential early Iona, which we can hopefully shut them out of the game. So, I keep. Faithless Looting is amazing. Faithless Looting is the bomb. So, immediately, I Imperial Seal, going for, I think, my Necromancy, because it's more expensive, or my Animate Dead. Oh, I think I'm going to go for a Memory Jar with because I have this Lion's Eye Diamond, I want to be able to, I want to have all of my hey, I'm going to have all the mana in the world. So I sort of shoot out my Memory Jar. I don't use it this turn because if I use it next turn, I will have 2 more mana. This 2 mana that my swamp and my mountain will be untapped. It is dangerous because if they had Iona'd there, which honestly, if they had so if they had Iona there, they could have shut me out of the game. So there's a little bit of risk in what I'm playing, and then I'm like, oh no. They have Relic, but they don't have any untapped mana. So I can use my graveyard this turn. So I kind of have to be fast about this. Unfortunately, Tendrils is in my hand. So if I use Memory Jar, it is in the special Memory Jar removed zone forever. So I go Faithless Looting to rectify that. And then I draw Wheel of Fortune. And I'm like, wow, great, Wheel of Fortune. I would have liked to have that in my hand. So now I'm looking at my deck like, ooh, what could I potentially draw? Since I have the Iona, I go black because I'm like, okay, what could I have? What could I do? I'm just like, okay, I'm playing all my rituals. These are going to be done anyways. But now I can entomb, ironically, Past in Flames, which would be my savior. So I can Past in Flames, play all my rituals again. I'm just like playing more cards, playing more cards. And now I only need 2 more spells. Hey, guess what? I have Tendrils in my graveyard. So I feel very smart for having discarded it. And that's why I discarded it, because if I was going to go off, probably going off that turn, and I needed that to happen. Here I'm like, ooh, interesting. This hand, I can't keep this hand. I'm about to keep this hand. Am I? Yeah, no. You can't keep that hand. So here, I don't really have reanimate things, and reanimate things are kind of expensive. So I'm like, you know what? We're doing Storm. We're doing Storm. Immediately, I'm like, ooh, Birgi, and I have this Yogg Whale. I just want my Lotus. That's what I want. My Lotus, I could then Birgi, I can then play a bunch of stuff. They spell pierce my Imperial Seal, and I think, how flippin' rude. And then I think, okay, you know what? I'm going to Birgi. I can deal a little bit of damage early, hopefully. And then like, okay, I bounce your Birgi. And at this point in my mind, I'm like, I've lost this game. I've taken way too much time. Now I'm like, I definitely have lost this game. How do you win this game? How do you win this game? I have to tell you, in despair right now. I'm like, no, this is such a cool deck, and this is my chance to do Storm. Yeah, no. So I'm living on a prayer. I'm drawing nothing. Maybe I should have kept that land so that I could Faithless Looting and keep 2 cards. They can't block my Birgi because Brazen Borrow can only block flyers. A fun fact. Attack me. Deathly afraid an Iona is going to come out in any second. So I'm chilling. I'm like, okay, what can I do? I go, oh, Lion's Eye Diamond. That's an interesting. I draw Soul Ring, and I'm like, well, okay, Soul Ring is probably better than Lion's Eye Diamond. Now I'm hoping to draw a draw 7 is what I need. A Memory Jar, Wheel of Fortune. So I'm like, ooh, Shallow Grave. But once again, I don't have anything to do with that. I'm just sitting here attacking them for 3. How weak? Like, how weak is this Vintage Cube deck right now? I've done nothing. Now, to be fair, they needed 2 pieces of disruption to get this deck to be doing nothing. But I'm in such hot water right now. Like, once again, in my mind, I believe that I have lost this game at this point. You know from the title of the video that, hey, I don't lose this game. Hey, surprise, it's a happy ending. My opponent's also not doing that much. Like, what are they doing? So they commit, and I'm like, oh, okay, I will get that Wheel of Fortune back in 2 turns. So that's a thing. But once again, now I'm like, okay, you just gotta make it 2 turns, William. You gotta make it 2 turns. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And there's so many ways this could go wrong. They seem to not have anything, and they don't want to Mind Twist me for 1. Which I don't know. I don't know if you Mind Twist your opponent for 1 in this position. Like, I guess you want to keep your Jace alive, so you want to shrink the Birgi. It also makes you win the race. So they Dark Petition. I'm like, well, they have anything they want, and they get Relic. And now I'm like, oh boy. Now I have no Yawgmoth's Will. One of my premier ways to win. I'm gonna attack you because I'm like, okay, maybe I get them down to 6, and then I only have to Tendrils for 3, or what have you. So I'm in deep despair. They're Grave Tightening at this point. In my mind, hope is lost. Oh, wait, no, hope is not lost. I know I have the Wheel of Fortune on the top of my deck, and I have a Birgi out already. So I'm like, you know what? If anything's gonna win me this game at this point, it's gonna be a fresh grip of 7. I only have to Tendrils them for 4. I have a Birgi in play, so the odds are against me, but I can it's not that hard. Oh, I think. Was Tendrils in my graveyard? I can't remember when it got exiled. I guess we're about to find out. It was not, because I see Tendrils. So here I'm like, okay, I got it. And I don't know if they have a counter spell, so I empty first because it doesn't. If they have 1 counter spell, that's for 4, and now they need 2 counter spells because I have 5 Tendrils triggers. And hey, we win. We take down game 1 in a very unlikely. We take down match 1 in a very unlikely win there. Whew. That is the power of Wheel of Fortune and Birgi and just like random chaff. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy. So now I'm like, okay, that was a rough and tumble first 3 games. How am I going to do this? I have this hand and it's just like, oh, okay. I can first turn a memory jar. Do I do it? That's the question. And I say, you know what? Yeah, first turn memory jar. Let's fludge and do this. Once again, I'm waiting to burst it because I want that extra mana. If I burst it and I use this Lion's Eye Diamond, then, you know, it's like I have 3 mana to go off, and I don't get to keep those 7 cards. Now, on the flip side, if I could discard a creature, then I have these reanimate spells. So now I don't have those reanimate spells, so I'm really going all in on this. And here I'm like, oh, okay, I have the makeshift mannequin, so now I can entomb and makeshift mannequin. And guess what? I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was even 1 mana shorter. In fact, I would have been able to use the animate dead, so maybe the joke is on me. But once again, just like that first game with the Sphinx, this is a glass cannon. So I see that they are playing what looks like Storm. If they have any sort of target effect, I don't win that game. But they don't, so I managed to squeak by. This is another great hand. I have Lion's Eye Diamond and Yawgmoth's Will and Tendrils of Agony. So right now, on turn 1, I can do a lot of things. I can well, not on turn 1, because I need enough mana to Yawgmoth's Will first. So immediately I'm like, ooh, I have Ulamog, I have Shallow Grave, and Lion's Eye Diamond. This is not gonna work how I thought it worked. I make a huge dum-dum in a second. So what I'm thinking is just like any other time, I can discard the Ulamog and Shallow Grave it. However, this interaction does not work like that. The thing is, you need Ulamog's shuffle trigger on the stack, and then you need to play Shallow Grave in response to it. What I'm thinking is, I'm going to Shallow Grave. In response to the Shallow Grave, I'll sacrifice the Lion's Eye Diamond, and then the Ulamog will be in my graveyard. However, because it's all happening in response to the Shallow Grave, Ulamog's reshuffle trigger will also happen on top of the stack, on top of the Shallow Grave. There's in fact no way for me to use Lion's Eye Diamond and Shallow Grave in this way together. If I Shallow Grave first and then Lion's Eye Diamond, my Ulamog is away when the Shallow Grave kicks off. If I use the Lion's Eye Diamond first, I discard the Shallow Grave and the Ulamog at the same time. I can't just discard one or the other. So this does not work at all, and I'm about to completely. Also, I tapped the wrong mana. What? So I do a lot wrong there, I guess. But that's okay. Sometimes we all have brain farts, and I am reminded. I'm like, okay, oh geez, what were you thinking, William? That does not work. And I get a great hand of Imperial Seal, Dark Ritual, a Memory Jar, and Entomb. So Entomb will sort of be able to work like a tutor. I think I find the animate dead, so that I can, or necromancy, so that next turn, once again, I'd rather have the reanimate dead. It's cheaper in my library. Also, the animate dead makes my creature smaller, so I don't win as fast. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what they're doing, but I bet you if I shut off their colors, they'll be fine. So I name black, thinking that like, oh, I think they're Storm. Black is important for Storm. Most of the, like, their burn removal would be red, but their things that could kill an Iona would probably be black. So I'm like, oh, okay, I've shut them out of this game right now. And then they keep playing, and I'm like, oh no, am I gonna lose? Oh no. So they have one turn, and 100% possible. I know they don't have Yawgwill. I know they don't have Tendrils to gain life. So yeah, I get to shut them out. So it definitely threw away a game there, but luckily my decks and my draws were strong enough where it did not matter. Mainly my draws in that point. But that shows the power of Imperial Seal, as well as Entomb, as well as Necromancy, as well as Iona. But some of those cards come late. Some of those, Imperial Seal comes later than I think it should. Iona comes later than it should. Necromancy comes later than it should. So here I'm like, I don't have any way to discard these poops. And if I try to draw up to 8, then discard, like, I don't want to draw up to 8, then discard Iona, then hope to makeshift mannequin later. So I just go, meh. So I decide to keep this hand, and then I'm like, okay, what do I throw back. I think it's just a land. I'm going to play Wheel of Fortune probably on 3, so I don't need more than 3 lands in this hand because I'm going to be drawing a new one. And then I'm like, oh, I don't want all my reanimate to be Wheel of Fortune discarded. Opponent Rift Wings, which I'm like, oh no. Bounce. So now I basically have like all my reanimate in my hand, which means that this is probably going to have to be a Storm game, not a reanimate game. I'm about to discard all. One second. There's Passive Flames and there is Yawgmoth's Will, but one second as I sneeze. Huh? Ooh. So I'm a little scared. It's always scary when you give your opponent 7 new cards. My cards get shuffled back in, which, hey, I'm fine with. And then I'm like, wow, look at this hand. Look at this hand. Next turn, I save everything so that I try to go for a Super Storm next turn. Because I can play the Black Ritual, I can play the Birgi, but it also gives them a turn to, like, you know, do Fate's Fetters, or not Fate's Fetters, that wouldn't work, but Condemn or Path or Swords on my Birgi. So here I'm like, okay, the plan is I can probably cast at least 6 spells next turn. I can empty for a big amount. Empty is the big thing, and then if I can, secondarily, Tendrils. So first, you want to play Birgi. So Birgi is going to be net negative 3 mana, but if I can play 3 spells, it's neutral. More spells, she's gained mana this turn. So Black Lotus and Soul Ring, that's already 2 spells. So if I play one more spell, Faithless Looting, which is this turn is free with her, then she's net she's net neutral. So y'all will see how much mana I have. So now I have access to 6 mana. Soul Ring is +2, so now I have access to 8 mana. I have access to technically I have access to 7 mana, but after I play my first spell, I'll have an additional one. So Faithless Looting is free. I can then play Empty or Tendrils for 4. I'll have 3 mana left. Once I play that spell, I'll get a 4th mana, and I can play the other one. So I can now empty out my whole hand. And then I'm like, whoa, what do I want here? Guess what? Imperial Seal, also free, functionally free. It converts a black to a red, but that does not matter at this point. And so I'm like, ooh, I can get my Yawgmoth's Will and have a backup in case this does not work, what I'm about to do. So that's exactly what I do, I believe, is I get my Yawgmoth's Will. You get Yawgmoth's Will. Come on, William. You get Yawgmoth's Will. Yep, Yawgmoth's Will, so I can do everything that I'm doing now next turn again if I need to. I then play, I'm thinking, like, do I Tendrils or do I Empty? The Empty tokens allow me to sort of, like, actually, I don't know. I don't know if I should be emptying first or tendriling first. In retrospect, to probably be tendrils because it gains me more life in case they have, I don't know, some sort of weird damage thing, or they threw the breach in Emrakul and I have to slowly rebuild. But then also, like, I guess if they do Emrakul, through the breach Emrakul, these Empty the Warren tokens are now, like, lethal, right? I think either way I'm fine. Like, it'd be hard pressed to find a situation where I lose playing it in one order versus I win playing it in the other order. I'm sure they exist. 100% I'm sure those situations exist, but I'm hard pressed to think of them. If you can think of them, hey, throw them down in chat. Because either way, it's 2 damage this next turn. If they have a Wrath of God, then I lose damage playing the Tendrils first. But now I have, like, you know, a bazillion things to sacrifice if they do through the breach. And then I'm getting Yawgmoth's Will, so even if they do Wrath the board, I get to do that whole combo off again the next turn with both the Lion's Eye Diamond and not Black Lotus, but y'all get it. Y'all get it. So I'm like, now in my mind, I'm thinking, ooh, I can do this. This Storm deck can trophy, which is, it's so hard. It's so hard to trophy with Storm just because Counterspell, oh geez, you're tripped up. Discard, oh geez, you're tripped up. Just so often you draw the wrong half, or I'm doing draw 7s. I'm letting my opponent draw 7. So if they have a Force of Will, a Force of Negation, it's like they're gonna get it. It's definitely walking a tight wire here. I have Imperial Seal. I'm gonna get my my Black Lotus. So it's like, okay, yep, going for Black Lotus, and then next turn I can either Wheel of Fortune or I can just Yogg-Will and go crazy. So I think the plan is land, Black Lotus, Yogg-Will, Black Lotus again, Imperial Seal, Wheel of Fortune. Then I'll know what one card that I'm drawing, and then I can go absolutely bonkers with the top. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. Black Lotus. I can play this Imperial Seal, and then I know one of the cards that I will grab off the top. Although I think I might just empty the Warrens. I think I just empty the Warrens because I'm emptying for like a lot of tokens. I'm not sure what I get here. Oh, Lion's Eye Diamond makes sense in response to the... Yeah. So I get Lion's Eye Diamond because I can play that next turn with this Wheel of Fortune and maybe go nuts. I don't have Yawgmoth's Will anymore, but I do have 10/1/1. So technically, if they don't have a blocker, they're dead in 2 anyways. And if I can draw, if they have a few blockers, probably drawing a Tendrils kills them. So here I'm like, I could Wheel of Fortune right now, but I don't want to give my opponent a new 7, They may be scrounging for answers with this looter as is, and I'd rather make them have an answer first. So I'm chilling, because like if they had a balance or whatever, they would have played it last turn. So here, chilling, attacking, see what you have in response. They, of course, have Cryptic Command, and I'm like, okay, fine. Yep, you got it. Now I'm debating, like, do I draw 7? Like, no. I am afraid of a Splinter Twin going off, because then, of course, I would just be dead immediately. Like, they could Deceiver Exarch or Pestermite tap one of my things, and then, so now they can block with their land, their Fumarole. Instead, they Resto, and now I am scared. I am scared because Resto is one of the cards that you can combo off with Kiki. You can Kiki, bounce the Angel, play Kiki. So now I'm like, okay, I want to go off now. They've been drawing cards, unfettered. They potentially have a Kiki-Jiki combo. I am getting them 7 if they don't have it already. But I'm like, okay, maybe I can end them right now. So I'm thinking like, oh, geez, I don't have a Yawgmoth's Will. Do I have enough for this? What I can do is I can Entomb the Tendrils and try to Past in Flames it. Now the question is, how do I get there as far as mana? So I'm gonna pause here and let y'all puzzle it out how you would do it. So feel free to pause the video right now and be like, okay, here's how I would find the Tendrils and make sure that I have the mana to both Past in Flames and play it. So remember that Birgi. I'll wait. Pausing. Okay. Assuming you've unpaused. So the immediate thought here is that like, oh, if I play Birgi, I burned up all my red. But Birgi gives free red if you play spells, even black spells, after playing it. So because I plan to play a lot of spells this turn, it is correct to Birgi first. If I Birgi, then I Cabal Ritual, then I get the red to be able to Pyretic Ritual, or once again, even Entombing gives me the red to Pyretic Ritual. Then I can Past in Flames and hopefully do it all again, getting extra mana as I do it from my graveyard. But if they have a Lightning Bolt, I'm a little in trouble. I can play all the rituals and the Entomb in response to the Lightning Bolt, so I'm still net neutral mana for Birgi. But I believe it's close as far as mana, because I can't get 7 cards in my graveyard. Yes, I can, actually. I have to Entomb first. No, I can't. I can't get 7 cards in my graveyard before I Cabal. Just 6 cards, unfortunately, because I need to play it before I Pass in Flames to be able to play it again. But when I play the Pass in Flames, then I will have 7. So then the Cabal Ritual will kick off. So now I'm like, they're at 1 life, so I really only need a Tendrils for 1. Kind of dangerous to actually play a... did I need that ritual? I don't know. But yeah, there we go. So I have now trophied with Storm. Yeah, you can see my mouse going absolutely crazy. Because, hey, it's super exciting to do this. So, hey, thank you once again. I'm glad I could show y'all Storm, even though there was that one game where everyone could please just avoid. Storm is great. Storm is marvelous. It's fun to play, and the big things are Black Lotus, if you can get it. Yogg-Will, Birgi is great as well. and some draw 7s like Wheel of Fortune. So if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to the actual video on YouTube. It helps a lot. A lot of people are leaving real nice comments. It means a lot to me, and there'll be more videos coming up. There's actually a really cool deck that I played today that video will be coming tomorrow. So, you can't, foreshadowing, watch it. Okay, bye. Like, comment, subscribe, bye.